Hello, my name is Mohan Kelkar, and in this video I want to talk about the impact of renewables on the cost of electricity. If you read the public statements of many politicians, you would think that by increasing the capacity of wind and solar will reduce the cost of electricity. According to White House, the investment in wind and solar energy will spur domestic manufacturing, construction projects, good paying jobs, all the while cutting the energy cost for families. According to business.com, the production of renewable energy is usually more efficient compared to traditional energy. According to powerhouse.com, renewable energy reduces the cost of energy, creates jobs, and reduces pollution. According to United Nations, Mr. Francis Lacamera, who works as a Director General of International Renewable Energy Agency, renewables are by far the cheapest form of power today. So why don't we test this hypothesis against the reality of Germany? Germany embarked on a grand experiment of transforming its economy by converting the energy from wind and solar instead of fossil fuels. In 2000, a plan was announced to shut down the coal and nuclear plants eventually and replace them with wind and solar energy. And the percentage of electricity provided by the wind and solar increased significantly. If you'll examine this particular graph, you could see that wind was providing about 10% of the total capacity of electricity in 2002 and solar was negligible. But by 2022, 58% of the installed capacity of electricity came from wind and solar, whereas the fossil fuel was reduced to 33%. This did not mean that Germany was using more electricity over that 20-year period. If you look at the top graph and the amount of electricity which is utilized by Germany, it hovered around 500 to 550 terawatt hours. However, the total build-out capacity in the Germany went from about 100 gigawatt to about 200 gigawatt, almost double the capacity increase. As a result of increasing the capacity but not in consumption, the utilization factor, which is the percentage of the capacity which is utilized to produce electricity, went from 50% in 2020 to about 25% in 2022. And you can see that there's almost a linear relationship between the utilization factor and the percentage of the energy which is provided by wind and solar. And this is not surprising because if you look at the total capacity of wind and solar compared to the percentage of the electricity which is provided by wind and solar, which is the utilization factor of wind and solar, it hovers around 15%. That means only 15% of the total installed capacity by wind and solar was used to actually generate and provide electricity to German consumers. Because of this increased capacity and utilization of the same amount of electricity, the cost of electricity for household consumers increased significantly. If you look at the numbers from 2006 to 2022, the cost almost doubled from 19.5 cents to about 37 cents. And this is because German government charges the cost of installed capacity to the average consumers and not necessarily the industrial users. If you compare the United States with Germany, you can see that the cost of electricity between 2022 for United States increased from about 7 cents per kilowatt to about 11 cents per kilowatt. Whereas in Germany, the cost went from 13 cents to about 39 cents, almost 200% increase in the cost of electricity. You can look at also the ratio of the cost of electricity by German citizens compared to the cost of electricity paid by US citizens, and you can see that the ratio starts about 2 in 2000, but it almost approaches 4. So the cost of electricity is increasing much more rapidly in Germany compared to the cost which is increasing in the United States. Now you would think that by making so much investment in wind and solar, the fossil fuel consumption in Germany would be significantly lower than what it is utilized in the United States. But we are surprised by this graph because if you look at the percentage of the overall energy provided by the fossil fuels in Germany versus United States, there is almost an overlay on top of each other. As a matter of fact, between 2002 and 2022, United States went from 87% fossil fuel energy to 81% fossil fuel energy, about 6% decline, whereas Germany went from 84% to 76%, which is about 8% decline. So at a significant additional cost, Germany achieved additional 2% reduction in fossil fuel consumption. So if you somehow think that the renewable energy is going to provide you with a cheap source of electricity, think again, because the utilization factor and the intermittency of renewables is such that as more and more electricity is provided by renewables, the cost of capacity buildup is going to increase significantly, and eventually the consumers are going to pay for the cost. Thank you for listening to the presentation. If you like the video, please subscribe to my channel.